Welcome back to the channel, guys. Sheldon here, and welcome back to another episode of the Hobby Garden, Season 2. Now, today's episode is going to be about the miniature garden. Now, as you guys can see, the weeds have run amok, so there's a lot of work that we need to do, especially with some of these larger ones. Now, keep in mind that miniature gardens are going to vary. Now, as an example, we do have our bathtub that we grew radishes in last season. However, your miniature garden may vary. It may be something that you guys have in a small plastic bin, you know, a planter pot, that type of deal. Maybe multiple ones that you gather in one grouped area on, let's say, a balcony. You know, if you're living in an apartment, a miniature garden may be something simple in your kitchen. So this is an example of a miniature garden. It works really, really well. It has sidewalls on it, so you guys have the protection for the plants that you're growing, whether it be vegetables like radishes being in the actual soil, or something like tomatoes. You get a lot of protection from animals trying to get at your plants. So this is actually a really good example. So what I'm going to do for you guys is show you some of the weed removal and show you one of the tools that I would recommend using for any of the smaller weeds and some of the more difficult ones as well. All right, so definitely wear gloves. Don't mess around when it comes to these big ones. These ones can pack quite a punch. Shake off all the dirt, just like we learned in season 1. Now, depending on what room you have around, just put it in a pile, just put all the weeds in the same spot. Now, I'm not too concerned about pulling out any radishes that may be growing over from maybe some seeds that were, you know, happened to come about from last season. I'm not too concerned about that sort of thing, but clean off the weeds as well as you possibly can. Just keep removing them. Go for all the big ones to start. You don't really have to go in, you know, be too picky. Basically, just clean them off as best as you can, all the roots. If you guys are struggling to pull them out, like this one, struggled a little bit, just move on to the next one. You guys can always go back a little bit later. You can always go over this multiple times. You don't have to do it in one shot. But it's really simple. Go for all the big ones. They should come out pretty easy because we did have a lot of rain. So the soil is quite moist, which is really nice because the weeds will come out really easily. So anytime it's been raining, this is a really good time to pull weeds. Obviously not in a large garden, because with a large garden, you would be sinking into the soil and you would actually be ruining the garden. So for a miniature garden, this is a great time to do that. So as you guys can see, I've got about half of it done right now. That is the other half. So I'm going to finish up the rest of these large weeds, and then I'll show you how to get rid of the small ones. All right, so there you go, guys. We've got all the big weeds removed. Another tip is when there's a lot of moisture and humidity around, I find that the mosquitoes tend to be out a lot more. You know, a lot of people associate it with mosquitoes coming out. It's generally dark only, or it's starting to get really dark, and that is not always the case. So keep that in mind. If the mosquitoes are out, it's probably because there's a lot of moisture in the air, or at least that's what I've found. So what you want to do is use one of these hand rakes, and basically you're going to want to just dig through. You don't need to be aggressive with it. Just kind of scrape along, almost like you're, you know, scratching your back or something. Basically loosen them up because they generally aren't very deep. So you just loosen it up just like that. You should be able to get most of the weeds out this way, all the little ones. So as you can see, you're scraping off the top layer. Now, they are gonna end up bunching. So once you get them into a pile here, and also a tip for you guys, you will end up having steaks from before. So this one was a tomato one for the bush beef steak. Now, you can reuse these if you want, so you can save those for later. Now, once you get done with this and you have a big pile, they'll all be pretty loose, so you can easily just pull these out simply like that. You don't even need to wear gloves when you're doing that. And again, throw them into a pile off to the side. So that's half of it done. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of this and then show you guys what it all looks like in the end. All right, guys, so there you have it. The mini garden is completely weeded. Now, when I say completely weeded, obviously you guys are probably going to say, what are you talking about? There's still a few weeds here and there, right? Now, here's the thing. When you use a tool like this and you're actually uprooting the weeds, if properly uprooted, they can actually sit on top of the soil and then just get dried out, and they will die on their own and they won't actually come back. So you don't actually have to remove them completely. You just remove the majority of them. Now, just something to note. You'll see some creatures like that one right there. Yeah, that one. So those types of bugs, just ignore them. They really don't do a whole lot. I generally just ignore them. So if you guys see spiders, that sort of thing, you know, just let them do their thing. You know, lots of different insects in here, so I generally just leave them alone. So basically, this is all ready to go. Whether you guys are transplanting smaller plants into it, or if you're actually planting seeds for, let's say, radishes, something like that, this is pretty much good to go. You just make your trenches. So you could do, in this one it's not overly big, but you could do two. So you could do one along here and then one along here as well. And it's a pretty good starter mini garden. So if you guys are just starting out, this is pretty ideal if you just want to experiment and try it out. You know, there's not really a lot of upkeep, because once the seeds start growing and you know definitively that they're, for example, a radish, you can start using your hand rake and just literally go through the middle and all around the edges and just remove any weeds that are stubborn and come up again. So it's really easy to maintain one of these. So if you guys like this little tutorial, make sure to smash that like button for me so I know it's working. Leave any comments down below. If you guys have any questions, leave those down there as well. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you guys are notified when I do another one of these awesome organic self-sustainability videos. And make sure you hit the bell as well. That will also keep you guys in the loop. So that's it for me, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.